Live from New York. It's a show that's celebrating a wonderful wild card weekend, some more than others. We start with the Ravens doubling up the Steelers again. 28-14, Lamar gets 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry gets 2 touchdowns. Remember, Coach requested 20 carries. He got 26 in the win. Lamar improves to 3-4 in the playoffs. Okay, Brew, did Lamar silence his playoff doubters?
Before I get to Lamar and the Ravens, let me tell you something about the Steelers. What I like about the Steelers is that they watch first things first. Mm-hmm. And because they watch first things first, for the last 2-3 months, they have heard my friend, the great Nick Wright.
Thank you.
Talk about how they had Lamar Jackson's number.
Yeah. Well,
how he was even scared of them.
He said it.
And then when you throw in that they listen to Nick talk about Lamar's woes in the playoffs, how when the postseason comes, he goes on his throat. He chokes. So because of that, the Steelers went into the Ravens' house feeling a bit chesty, thinking that they were going to get a diminished Lamar Jackson and pull off the upset. But guess who else watches first things first?
Ooh.
The Ravens.
Oh.
And the Ravens knew. They saw Brew's marching orders. And boy, did they carry them out to a T. So when the Steelers showed up, they grabbed him by the back of the neck, pulled him in the house.
Pulled him in the house.
Said, fetch me my robe. Turn on the big screen, the wire. And then get in the kitchen.
Yikes.
And get me a sandwich with some chips. And of course, I gotta wash it down with a soda pop. It was music to my ears.
Where's the food?
Said he's the smartest in the room.
Smartest in the room.
That man Brew.
That man Brew.
The smartest in the room.
Smartest in the room.
That man Brew.
That man Brew.
Jordan's on his feet.
Jordan's on his feet.
Shade so sweet.
Shade so sweet.
Versace roll from Nick.
Versace roll from Nick.
Swagger don't quit.
Swagger
Remember
don't
when I told you what the Ravens would do.
Ravens would do.
The smartest in the room.
Smartest in the room.
And that man Brew.
That man Brew. Brew.
Oh, he's the smartest man. Now it's time for a snack. Put it in my hand. Make me a sandwich. Soda pop. Don't forget the chips, please. Don't forget the chips. No mayo. Oh, fellas, that man Brew. Brew, brew.
I mean, those
Oh,
guys are just
yeah,
the best. I mean, those guys.
Soda pop.
Legitimately a great song.
I mean, it was really great.
Fantastic.
Brew, would you like me to go?
I'm going to be humming that all the rest of the show.
I don't blame you. I don't know that I had to say smartest in the room
That
as
felt
many
like a
times.
shot.
I did not.
Felt
They
like a
made
shot.
that up themselves
Okay.
after observing the show.
All right, no, but in all seriousness,
It's all you.
Okay.
I'm done.
So, as far as Lamar silencing his playoff doubters,
Yeah.
I do think, while Brew disagrees with me, that his inability to play well against Pittsburgh in the regular season was part of this bigger theme that I believe in.
Sure.
Which means this is his second consecutive really positive step. Because I am like, you understand what I mean?
First game against the Steelers?
Yeah, like this is 2 games in a row that were part of that sample that I had been talking about.
Yep.
Playing the Chiefs, playing the Steelers, playing the playoffs. And now we don't have to go back to last postseason. It's the last game against Pittsburgh when he said monkey off my back, and then it's this playoff game.
Yep.
So that's super positive legitimately. Also, I think, and you might agree with me on this was the first playoff game of his career where he looked like regular season Lamar from the opening drive. Because that game against Houston, it actually was pretty shaky that first half, and then he was spectacular that entire second half, which made it a great game. But the first, so that's really positive. The fact that they, to me, everyone's going to focus on, rightfully so, the drive with 13 straight runs and Derrick Henry's great game, all of it. And that's all legit. But on the opening drive, they had a 3rd and 13 where they asked Lamar to, relied on Lamar, and this set the template for the entire game because he didn't miss the throw. He wasn't antsy there. And then the next drive, it was just Lamar running and Derrick Henry running, and then essentially the game was over. So I am not going to minimize any of that. To answer the question, does this now make you be like, okay, he's over it? No. And this is where I think Brew actually will agree with me. Because Brew agrees that it is not in conflict to say a guy is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever and a guy consistently doesn't play his best football come the postseason. Because the example we have used is Peyton Manning. And then Peyton Manning's probably one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks ever. He now is one of only a couple guys with more MVPs than Lamar, assuming Lamar is going to win this one because he got the All-Pro. And Peyton had the early struggles, the mid struggles, and the late struggles. So we showed you Lamar versus Peyton through 6 playoff games. We can update it now through 7, and then we can show you their 7th playoff game. So through 7, it's again similar across the board, like the yards go to Lamar, the points go to Peyton, whatever it is. The 7th playoff game, though, I think is interesting. Because the 7th playoff game, Peyton Manning, as great as Lamar was just as good his own way. And then in the 8th playoff game, it was a 20-3 regular old Peyton Manning playoff loss.
Oh, so you're saying that's what's coming?
I'm not saying definitively that's what's coming. But what I am saying is I didn't think the Houston game last year meant, okay, we're now done with this. And I don't think you would have either. And I think going into these playoffs, Brew had, I don't want to say concerns, but a question about what will Lamar look like in the postseason. And I don't think one game in the wild card round answers that. But I also think this was his best start to finish playoff game. And it is, we now have 2 data points of maybe he is, as Brew said, a different player, second year with Todd Monken, more of a developed passer, and all of that. And so I'm not trying to hedge, but I'm also trying to be honest. I don't think that's like, okay, now rip that up. We're done with it forever. And I'm very, very interested to see how Lamar looks this coming week.
Yeah, I said a week ago, this is the year. I believe he's become a much better passer. He also has much better, they've always had a good run game, but you haven't had
Derrick Henry.
They haven't had like a Pro Bowl running back or all-pro back. This is the first year. Now, I know Zay didn't play Sunday, but I assume he'll play the next game or Saturday. First time they've had a Pro Bowl receiver in their franchise history for the Ravens. And then he's got 2 really good tight ends. So I think he's got more help. And I also like that he has had to listen to this all season, if not longer, right? And not only the playoffs, but also Pittsburgh. He's had to hear this and figure it out mentally. Can he handle this? Can he deal with it? You know, sometimes you get paralysis by analysis. Sometimes you can go out there and think too much, or you can worry about what people are saying.
That's why I thought that 3rd and 13 throw was so important, because it's beginning of the game when it's not rolling, it's 0-0, and he sees it and rips it and makes a great play.
Because you know what else he's hearing is the Chiefs. Can you get over the Chiefs? So I think the fact that he's had to deal with this and look in the mirror, I think is going to make him be able to overcome this.
Okay, you have one final thing.
Did you want to say something about Lamar before? Because I was going to say.
Yeah, he's going to go into Buffalo and make the Bills make him sandwich.
Okay, so so somebody said to me who dislikes my Lamar opinions, they're like, oh yeah, you get to be right as long as he doesn't win the Super Bowl. And I said, I want to just to be fair and to be clear to the audience. I am not saying that if Lamar loses in the AFC Championship game to Patrick Mahomes, that I'm going to come out here and be like, see, told you so. My threshold for Lamar this postseason is very simple. Can you make it through a postseason without having your worst game of the year in that postseason? So I think they can, I think there is a scenario where they lose next week, but I am proven wrong-ish. Like if they lose 35-32 and he plays well, I'm not going to, right. And so it is, and certainly if they win next week and then they lose to the Chiefs.
What if he plays poorly?
Well, so if he has his worst game of the year in the playoffs, that to me, and you're 5 for 5 on that, that to me is a check in the column of that I am right on this. But it is not simply, do they not win the Super Bowl? I don't think that's fair because I don't think they have the best team. It'd be one thing if I thought, you know what I mean, they have the best team by far. I don't think that. So I am trying to be fair here on all accounts, and and right now
everyone's trying to be fair. Everyone's trying to just do their journalistic responsibility, Meanwhile, in Buffalo, the Broncos struck first, had the Bills on upset alert, and then Josh said, hold on a second.
Did they?
Yeah. Once they scored first in that fake punt, alert alarms were going off. Then the Bills rattled off 31 straight points, send the Broncos home. Josh had 2 touchdowns, over 300 total yards. Most games in playoff history with 270 in the air plus 40 on the ground. Josh got 5, and it's Patrick, Joe, and Russ with
Joe
3.
Montana with 3 games.
I didn't
with 40
realize he
yards
could move
rushing.
like that.
Scoot!
What did Josh prove in this game?
I'll get to Josh in a second, but first, again, we wave pom-poms for no one on this show, and I'm a big fan, obviously, of reminding America about the Arrowhead Invitational.
Of course.
And the Arrowhead Invitational, we're, one more practice for the Chiefs away from having 6 of the last 7. But it's not 6 or 7 in a row. So shout out to Bills Mafia and the people of Western New York for winning the 5th straight Highmark Invitational.
Oh, the first
I mean, that wild card game in Western New York against a team that shouldn't be in the playoffs. You set your calendars to the 2nd Saturday or Sunday in January, and you're going to get to see a light show. But here's to me what he did prove. That he should be the guy who wins MVP. So,
wow.
Brew was not here Friday. Friday there was big, when Lamar got first team All-Pro and the Vegas odds shift entirely. And now Vegas All-Pro voters,
he's going
right? Right now he is the favorite. And I watched these games this weekend, and I watched the Bills' offense seem pretty unstoppable against an elite defense, by any metric really, scoring, all of that. And I was like, man, it all centers around what this guy does. And when the game was in the balance, you're mentioning the fake punt, the Bills were only up 6, and they went for a 4th down. Mm-hmm. It was a gutsy play. They put the ball in Josh Allen's hands, and this is a vintage Josh Allen play, if we can show it.
Wild.
And this ended the game. And it was also, an amazing play by Tide, maybe a little lucky to keep his feet up, but whatever it is. And so he, to me, is the scariest running quarterback in the league on scrambles. He is the most devastating non-Mahomes force in the league when it's a gotta have it of 4 or less yards, because it's like, man, if he runs, he's going to get it. If he doesn't run, it's because someone's wide open. And I watched the Ravens game and I watched the Bills game, and I said, okay, yeah, the Ravens do have more A-level players. But I think the Bills are better, and I think that, but even if we set that discussion aside, I think he proved he is the engine of, to me, the 2nd scariest team in the league, and it's because of what he can do.
Yeah, look, if Josh wins MVP, you guys know I've picked Lamar on Brew's ballot. I was surprised that it looks like he's going to win it, because I thought Josh would win it. And if Josh gets it, I'm not going to raise Cain. It's fine. He's had an MVP season. But Lamar, I think everything you said about Josh just now could be said about Lamar.
I agree.
Like, Lamar is, as great as Derrick Henry is, Lamar is the engine of that team. And he, just like Henry helps him, there's no question.
He's the engine with an amazing sidecar, though.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Derrick Henry averaged 60-something yards a game last year. Now he's at 115 or something like that. So Lamar's opened things up for him as well. And Lamar, like, I would say the Ravens are the 2nd most dangerous team to the Chiefs. You would say the Bills. So we'll see. This will settle it, that's for sure. But what Josh proved to me was, we know he's been incredibly turnover prone his whole career, all right? And this year, with just the 6 interceptions, it's been incredible, but there always is in the back of your mind, has he really changed? Has he really been delivered, as Jameis might say, from his reckless play? And you wonder, come playoffs, come a time when they're really tested in a big game, is he going to revert back to, going wild and doing reckless things? And he didn't. And he made, like you said, I was going to show that video. That touchdown pass was incredible. And so that's what he showed me, that he has matured to the point. Now, he'll throw interceptions here and there like every quarterback, but he is no longer the reckless gunslinger that he's been most of his career, and that's a huge credit to him, and that's why the Bills do have a chance, to do something special this year.
And the other thing about that play, just very quickly, that whether you're rooting for the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl or rooting for the Ravens to make the Super Bowl, that was concerning was Sean McDermott letting them do it. Because that's 4th and 1 when a field goal puts you up 9, and the Sean McDermott that I've watched forever in Buffalo kicks that field goal. And if you're the Broncos, you're happy he does that. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was surprised. I thought they were lining up to try to draw him off, then we're going to kick it. When they snapped it, I was surprised. When they snapped it and it wasn't a run play, I was even more surprised, but they put the ball in the hands of their best player. You know what I mean? And they ended up basically ending the game with that.
But do you feel like and then we'll go to Mike McCarthy. It felt like Dallas. It felt like Denver was scared of Buffalo. And, they were going to go for the fake punt. And, early on, like, wow, we're playing with house money. It did not feel like Buffalo was afraid of Denver.
Of course, they shouldn't be.
At all.
No, but I don't think Buffalo, good thing about Buffalo-Baltimore is neither's going to be scared of either one. And very few times has either of these teams played someone that they didn't have the intimidation edge over.
I don't know. I think Buffalo will be a little bit scared.
Oh, I don't think Buffalo. I think
they're not doing that against you think they're going to do that against the Ravens?
Yes.
I think they're taking the points.
Oh, so
happy.
I would agree with
so
that.
I think it's actually the other direction. I think you'd be more likely to take I think if you are scared, I think you're more, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Like if you're scared, you add more variance by going for it. If you're very confident we're better, then usually kick. But I thought that was a good sign by Sean McDermott. Yeah. Like, no, screw this. We're going for it.
Dallas, meanwhile, needs a new coach. Mike McCarthy out. Expected to be a candidate for the Bears and the Saints already. Cowboys expected to, we don't know what. McCarthy goes 49-35 in the regular season brew, but 1-3 in his playoff tenure with Dallas. Your reaction to this news?
Well, from a Cowboys perspective, it just seems like more uncertainty and bad leadership by Jerry. Like you could have done, I'm fine with them doing this, but you could have done this earlier and not played it out. It really looked like they were going to hire Mike, keep bringing back, and it was reported that they couldn't agree on years. All right, and like I said, remember last week we talked about it. I said if I'm Dallas, I'm offering him 1 year
it seems
with
like
the second year as an option. Right.
Seems like that's what they did.
And I get that from their side. And if McCarthy has leverage, which he does because other teams are interested, then why would you take that deal? So I'm fine with him doing this. Of the teams, New Orleans and Chicago that are mentioned at least, New Orleans, sure. If I'm them, I'd love to get Mike McCarthy because I know he can set a culture and he's been a winner. He can at least get us back to respectability. But for McCarthy, I don't like it. For him, if he could get to Chicago, and I don't think he'd be first on their list, but he is a guy that could go to the Bears and, again, set a culture of winning. He's from the division, having been with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, Caleb loved Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he's got some feelings for Mike McCarthy. Similar type quarterbacks in that, it does his own thing and improvises
the
and things like that.
The idea of Mike McCarthy coaching Caleb gives me
So I don't think if he ends up in Chicago, I don't think it's the worst hire for them. It's not who I go with, but I wouldn't kill it.
Okay, from the Dallas side, there's a lot of fun names out there. I don't expect any of the fun names to happen. Belichick, is he going to bail on UNC?
That would be the one I'd want if I'm the Cowboys.
The Tomlin trade that's been floated around. Prime's news is back floating around. Ben Johnson maybe. It's like,
but to Bruce's point, they now can't interview Ben Johnson until the Lions are eliminated from the playoffs. This was the window when you can do it, and they didn't because of McCarthy. So that's
what I mean.
So can I real quick? Can I respond to your? I hate the idea. Coaching contracts do not hit your salary cap. So I totally get I'm negotiating with a player. And I'm like, I am good with giving you a lot of money for 1 year, but I'm not giving you 4 years because if it doesn't work out, it screws up my cap.
Sure.
I think that's good management. If you liked Mike McCarthy enough to try to bring him back for 1 year and he wanted 4 years guaranteed, that is purely then Jerry Jones saying, no, my money's too important.
Well,
because there's.
But what's wrong? If you don't, if I think he might only be here for a year, why do I want to pay him 3 more years?
Because,
Even if I can.
I guess my argument would be is if you think he's the right guy for next season, and you own the most valuable team in all of sports, and you're getting that landman cameo money, then I would say I'll run the risk that I have to pay the buyout because he hasn't had to pay. Like the Raiders right now are paying 3 coaches. And they don't have Cowboys money. But the last thing I'd say is, sadly, the Mike McCarthy tenure was not a success. He was brought there because Jason Garrett couldn't win playoff games, and in 5 years he won 1 playoff game. Also, I know we have to go. I don't even know what these banners are for. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. What is this? J? No. What is? Oh no. Oh no. What's happened?
Who is that?
Is that what we're doing next?
Cartoon?
Smallest in the room.
I don't know. I think some people would differ. The music disagrees with that picture.
So sweet.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.